A shalom to the hopeful elect. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone who teach the truth and rule well. This is the brother Yatab Yawa'ala coming back from the GMS SF Bay Area camp. Now I got a quick lesson. All right, Lord's will is edifying. But this one just going into the Atlas 3i. All right, the sightings, but more so, what these nations are doing, and whether this is a psyop or a distraction or not. Nonetheless, the scriptures talk about a war in heaven. All right, a war when Yahawashi makes his return. Okay, so I just wanted to read a little bit of this article and hit a couple precepts, just to show where we're at in prophecy and show that, yes, when Yahawashi makes his return, there is going to be a war. There's going to be all these nations and, their space forces, the forces that they've been making to fight so-called, in space. These are going to be turned against Yahawashi and the angels. All right. And this is prophecy, but I'll read a little bit of this. This is from news.az, dated December 4th, 2025. It says secret space defenses activated over 3i Atlas threat. A series of large-scale planetary defense drills has recently taken place worldwide, sparking speculation that governments are preparing for the unpredictable behavior of the interstellar comet 3i Atlas. All right, and keep in mind, we have yet to see what this is. I mean, it could be a chariot. All right, but again, it could be a big distraction. All right, hey, Esau is known to do a lot of distractions. All right, a lot of things that and present things that really aren't what they really are. All right, but nonetheless, that doesn't take away from prophecy and what is actually going to happen. It says, while officially presented as routine exercises, the timing and scale have drawn attention from space analysts and defense experts. The European Space Agency kicked off the sequence with a 3-day simulation involving its full planetary defense system, including mission control, rapid response modeling, and ground-based observation networks, NewsAZ reports citing the Daily Star. Japan soon followed with an accelerated asteroid impact drill, coordinating civilian, military, and commercial satellite operators. Within 2 days, the U.S. Space Force conducted a high-altitude orbital tracking rehearsal that had originally been scheduled for the late 2026, but was moved forward unexpectedly. Even countries that rarely disclose such activities, including Australia, South Korea, and Brazil, joined in joint exercises. These drills focused on data sharing systems, including to monitor high-velocity, non-gravitational accelerated objects, a term likely referring to 3i Atlas. All right, and really, what is it really coming, or what are they monitoring? Hey, the coming of Yahawashi. All right, these are what these drills are getting ready to do, because they're going to fight against the Lord and the angels. It says these drills involve data sharing systems built to analyze what internal documents describe as high velocity, non-gravitational accelerated objects, a term that appears to reference the Atlas. The catalyst for the sudden global focus is the object's erratic behavior. Scientists have documented rigid, physics-defying anti-tail jets, unexplained pulsations, and persistent non-gravitational acceleration that does not match natural models. I mean, that's pretty much it. You see what is I'll get this last little bit. It says, as its December 19th approach nears, governments appear to be treating the anomaly as an opportunity to advance global planetary defense capacity years ahead of schedule. All right, so they're using this again as an excuse. Whether we'll yet to see what it really is. All right, but nonetheless, they're getting ready for Yahawashi's return. All right, they're getting ready for that war. All right, they're putting all this money, all these exercises towards their planetary defense. Why do they need a planetary defense? All right, because Yahawashi is coming. Now, let me start with this. This is Revelation 12 and 7. And it says, there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. Now, if you can receive it, all right, this is going into a heavenly war, but not in the aspect of how these Christians tell you. All right, there isn't no, spiritual demon Satan. No, this is literally talking about Esau. All right, this is talking about his power structure. All right, and his allies that he has with him. All right, all these different countries coming together ultimately, okay, to fight against Yahawashi. All right, to fight against the angels. It says, and prevailed not, because there is no prevailing against the heavenly forces. All right. When these nations gear up to battle, all right, when they stop their World War III and all the damage is done, and then they turn and have an alliance to fight Yahawashi and the angels, it's gonna be a utter ruin. All right. It says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. All right, they're not they're going out. All right, this is going to be their last little hoorah, but this is going to destroy everything, and they're not going to have a power structure after this. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out in the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. All right, and again, this isn't talking about the spiritual demon Satan. This is talking about a physical man. All right, that physical man being Esau Edom. So all his power structure, all his armies, all right, they're going to be casted out. They're going to be destroyed. Okay? And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. All right, and who's accusing us? Esau. All right, his top tribe, Amalek. They create a society that causes us to go off. And here it is. They accuse the Heavenly Father about us. All right. But here it is. You set the society up. You're the one that has power to, make law what it is. Okay. So you didn't rule right, and you're just going to be taken out. But again, this war, okay, is between Yahawashi and the angels, and Esau and his fighter jets. All right. His planetary defense forces, okay? But again, they're not going to prevail. Revelation 19 and 11, and it says, and I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And again, the subheading is what? The coming of Hamashiach. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Okay, Yahawashi coming on that chariot, cracking the clouds. Remember, the angel said what? Yahawashi is going to return in the like manner that he left. And he left in a cloud. Okay, and if you could receive it, this is a so-called UFO. So, as it talks about this 3-eye atlas, we'll see what this is yet to be. All right, again, this could be a psyop, or it could actually be a chariot. All right, we'll see. But it says, but nonetheless, Yahawashi is coming. Okay, it says the sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So he's coming to make war. He's not coming to meet Esau as a man. All right, he's not coming to this place as a man again. All right, he's coming as a what? In that angelic body, coming to make war, coming to judge. It says his eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And why did he have many crowns? Because he's coming to take over. Okay? And he was clothed with the vesture dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of the Most High. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. So again, these chariots. All right? The whole host of heaven is coming to get down. Okay? Clothed in fine linen and white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the almighty power. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. There's going to be a big destruction. All right. And this is the point, verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth. All right. Which again, the beast is what? NATO and EU, headed by America. All right, these European countries and the kings of the earth. So all these other different countries that have a space force and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. All right. So again, what is being said that these nations with their space forces are going to come to fight against Yahawashi when he makes his return. Okay? So yes, they're gearing up. All right, it says global planetary defense capacity. They're using this opportunity to advance global planetary defense capacity years ahead of schedule. All right, Revelation 12 chapter. He knows that he has but a short time. Okay, so he has to make moves. He's gonna try and well, he has the pride to think that he's gonna be able to upset prophecy and take Yahushua out. All right, that's the pride of this devil. And I'm going to end off on here, second Ezra, the 13th chapter. And it came to pass that after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there rose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things that were seen under him, all the things trembled that were seen under him. Hey, scriptures say people are gonna, their hearts are gonna fail from fear. All right. But who is this? Yahawashi in the host, all right, the angels. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. All right, which is going into this heavenly technology. All right, heavenly weaponry, laser beams. And after this, and spiritual power. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Again, a war. All right, these nations coming together to fight Yahawashi. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not, which is how big Ezra is seeing the chariot. Okay, he couldn't see the edges of it. And after this I beheld, and lo, all that they were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fright. So even being afraid, these fighter jets, these all these pilots, all right, are gonna still go against the angels and Yahushai, even being afraid. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand nor held sword nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, which again, shows you that this is the technology of the heavens. All right, this is what Yahushua is coming back with. There's no gunpowder. There's no. Hey, the Lord literally just speaks it, and these laser beams come out. All right, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. All right. So a brothers always go into this. If you see that movie War of the Worlds, the newer one with Tom Cruise, all right, when those aliens were getting down, they would pop the people, and then all you would see was their clothes. They would turn to dust. All right, this is where they got that. All right, it says, but only dust and smell of smoke. Those laser beams are gonna do some damage. They're gonna incinerate. All right, and this is who Esau and all the kings and allies, when they come together to fight against the Lord. This is the technology that they're coming up against. So you see how, hey, we read in Revelation, what was it, 12 chapter verse 8, they said they prevail not. There's no way. All right, and it's already been written that they're not going to prevail. All right, so you seeing that, hey, Esau's he's gonna lose bad. All right, yeah, all these different kings, they're gonna lose real bad. All right, but nonetheless, this is what they're doing. This is what they're getting ready for, and we'll see what this 3-eye atlas is really about. When it comes closer. All right, again, it could be a psyop, but hey, nonetheless, the Lord is coming. All right, hey, once again, call Haloim Yahweh Bahashim Yahawashi Bahashim Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, and a blah, blah, blah.